Welcome to the Going Global Business Podcast. Dive into the top business trends, ideas, and tips to help you go global with your business. Let's jump right in today with your host, Arun Mehra.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this live stream of our first of 7 webinar series. I'm here with Arun Mehra, CEO of Samara Global, and Deepak Madolia. How are you guys today?
Hi, Praju. All good, thanks. All good.
Hi, Praju.
Well,
Thanks, all
guys,
good.
sorry to interrupt you guys. Well, in our first of 7 webinar series today, the first thing we're going to be going through is, well, as the title you can see, is why UK firms are building their own GCCs in India. So, guys, if you could give me like a short and sweet answer for the audience, first off, what is a GCC and why are UK firms going to India for this?
Okay, let me give my kind of tuppence worth. Okay, so hi, I'm Arun, and we only saw just last week, I think Rolls-Royce, a large UK company, announced that they're going to do a GCC. They opened up their first GCC in Hyderabad in India. And so what does that actually mean? So historically, GCCs, Global Capability Centers, is what it means, is that they would be allowed they would be their back office effectively. Okay, accounting, HR, the back office type of stuff would be happen, basic processing work, that type of thing would have been historic. But now what we're seeing is that organizations from the UK and other countries across the world are going to India to not just have their back office, but their whole capability run from there. So you have organizations developing technology, doing engineering designs, you name it. Everything is now happening at some of these GCCs across India. And historically, it's always been for some of the large corporates across the world have been doing this, people like Ford or Renault or Mercedes-Benz or the Googles and Amazons of this world. But now it's becoming more amenable to smaller organizations because the struggle to hire manpower in the West, the cost of manpower, the challenges of manpower. So India is perfectly positioned with a young workforce, a skilled workforce, an English-speaking workforce to really support many organizations globally. So I personally see the growth of GCCs as a big area. And I think with the recent announcement by Trump about H-1B visas changing in America, I think more and more US corporates will think, you know what, we don't want to spend that $100,000 fee. We're going to say, well, we're going to just operate more from India.
Okay. Deepak, what about you? What's your understanding
Yeah.
of GCCs?
So
Right?
just adding to that, the transition from the back office to the innovation hubs as we see GCs today and the future, it is all driven by AI, cloud computing. We have the infrastructure, the economic structure, the policies in place. But this transition is very beautiful, from back offices to innovation hubs. Now India is being seen as a leader of, cloud computing, as a leader of providing cost-effective solutions as it has been traditionally. But at present or the future outlook is much above the cost. Now India is not seen as a low cost-effective center, but it is seen as an center who is center of excellence, I'll say rather, who can produce future leaders who can help in innovation, in tech support, AI. So it's huge. It's huge. The opportunities are huge.
And I think the key is in the word capability. Okay, they're called capability centers because there's capable people out there, and I think that's the key message. Before it used to be seen as outsourcing, ship off the low cost work, but things have changed over the last 5-10 years rapidly.
Okay. I mean, we also, like you mentioned, Aaron, that Rolls-Royce has set up their own GCC in India. We recently also had DAZN, a famous streaming center in the UK, set up in Hyderabad for their tech operations and also for, I think, also for other back-end services. So with that being said, guys, we mentioned India as well, a market right now that's currently growing and growing each day with new businesses coming up every day. So what is the current market right now when you look at it? How big is the GCC industry? And why do you think a lot of people just want to come set up in India, whether it be a tier 1 city or whether it be a tier 2 city?
Okay, I'll give you
So
my. So good, Deepak, you go for it. You go.
yeah. So as we can see on the screens, the GCC market, it's not a market which evolved, which is the current topic. So GCCs have been in India from decades. So as of now, as we talk, there are more than 1,700 active GCCs across India, spanning across India from major centers, cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, to tier 2, tier 3 cities. And in terms of revenue, if we talk, so the annual revenue is far ahead. India is far ahead the curve. So it's more than $64 billion, the current annual revenue from these GCCs. And then, since as we talked about that, India has the youth have the capability to work the task force. So more than 1.9 million professionals work under these GCCs. And it does not end here. It does not end here. I see the outlook and the reports, the NASCOM, the FICCI, the global reports. If you go through, so by 2030, the projected revenue is $120 billion. It is expected to cross $120 billion. So it's a huge impact and a huge market. And if we talk about the new GCCs coming over, offshoring companies, foreign companies setting up new GCCs in India. So 70% of the new GCCs are being established in India. So it's a huge market and a huge. The world sees a huge capability in India.
100% agree there. And I think something to add is these statistics, I think, are kind of just some kind of headline numbers, and these 1,700 are probably large companies that you might hear on day to day, such as the Mercedes-Benz, the Rolls-Royces, that type of thing. But the reality is that there are many smaller, medium-sized businesses across UK, US that are already have their own little operation, like ourselves, really. We have our own GCC that we've set up over the last few years, but I'm sure we're not in that 1,700 number. So what we've seen historically are the large corporates doing it. Now the opportunity is really in the middle market, in my mind. That's where the opportunities for these businesses that want to have a global team to support their business for growth, that's what they will do. They will set up a GCC in somewhere like India.
Okay, so that's it. I mean, that's an impressive insight. Another thing I also wanted to ask was, we have a lot, it's not just a one specific industry that's going to India. It's not just automobiles, it's not just tech, it's also accounting firms, it's also like fashion tech. They're not just opening up an entire company there, but it's also small departments in various cities across. So if you as a person would advise someone to open up a GCC, does the sector really matter, or it's just based upon can you find the people?
Yeah, let me give you a quick example. If you look at last week, another company, HCA Healthcare, US healthcare business, opened up a GCC in India, and that kind of is a massive healthcare organization in America. Now they're in the Indian market with their GCC, not operating in India, but having the GCC to support their US business. So I think it goes across all industries, okay? All industries have a finance team. All industries have an innovation team. All industries have perhaps an AI team now. And they're kind of looking at India, at the talent, bottom line, to find and use, okay, in their businesses. So I think it's not restricted to any particular industries at all, Praju. Really isn't.
Okay, and another thing I would say is, like when a lot of people hear about GCCs, you hear back office, you hear stuff like that. Kind of sounds something similar to outsourcing, offshoring. So when you compare outsourcing, offshoring, and GCCs, what would be the difference? Like you would explain it to somebody just to make it a bit more clear.
So I'll take the lead on this, and then maybe
Sure.
Arun can add on the views. So as I started with saying that GCCs are being seen, or India offices are seen as a innovation center rather than a cost center, right? A cost effective center. So the main difference is first, I think, is the culture alignment. You can have a third party vendor, you can outsource your work, but that culture alignment, the vision and the mission of your entity, of the companies, of the foreign company, does not align with that of the outsourcing firm, wherein we see hiccups, wherein we see disengagements, unsatisfied team members. Then comes the control. If we talk especially about the different sectors, about the GCCs and how they are different from outsourcing. The first and foremost is the control. You have 100% control of your GCC.
Because you own it effectively. Your
You own it.
US or UK company will have 100% stake in the business in India. That's the key, because that means you have full control.
Right.
Okay.
And you can align the efforts to achieve your mission and visions. You can be more focused and aligned, and the teams in the home country can more focus on business development, getting the right set of clients, can focus their efforts there.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like, so if you can basically tell a US or a UK company, a GCC model is where you have more control than in an offshore setting. You have more control and you also have more influence as to what goes on in and around the company and also the people that come in
Yeah,
and come out.
absolutely. So if you look at someone like Rolls-Royce, they will own their whole entity in India, I imagine. Okay, and they'll have control, and they'll have people working on Rolls-Royce projects, all working on between countries, and they control it. It's their whole ecosystem. Whereas on the whole offshoring and outsourcing model, it's still as a third party you're dealing with. Okay, and now for smaller organizations, that third party arrangement probably works. Okay, but now, as we've said earlier, the scope is for these smaller organizations to say, well, hold on a minute, I want to benefit from the GCCs. And that's what, when that happens, they realize that it's the thing, well, I don't really want to go down the outsourcing model because the cultural alignment is in there, all these things. I want to set up my own. And that's again when we can kind of get involved and help.
Okay. So in terms of also like as we can see in this slide here, the evolution of what GCCs are right now and the direction it is going, it's now, as Deepak said, they're becoming innovation hubs, strictly innovation hubs. You are, as mentioned over here, it's an AI-powered solution or like an AI-powered GCC over there. As many of you may not know, we recently opened up a AI GCC in Coimbatore, maybe about 2 months ago, with our own team functioning over there, creating AI solutions. So, Aaron, that was your vision. That was something that you wanted to do for yourself. So, and in terms of like, let's say the whole direction the world is going with AI, is setting a GCC specifically for AI something that you think a lot of companies should do in India?
In a nutshell, yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. India is a country full of smart engineers. Okay. They just perhaps need some understanding of what the problems that businesses are facing across the world. And then they can solve those problems using software and their engineering talent. Okay. So our AI center that we've set up is solving problems that we've identified in our businesses in the UK and beyond. And therefore, we're using talent and teams and building an amazing team out there that will support accountants, even dentists, to be honest, other dental businesses. So in those sectors that we operate in, and I think it's and with this, as I mentioned, with this change in Trump's attitude and less engineers will be going to America, I imagine. Therefore, there'll be even more talent sitting in India to help people build their own GCCs as well, especially in the AI front.
Well, if any AI engineer is actually watching this, well, this could be your calling card, guys, to set up your own maybe back office for another company in India and just offering your services out there.
Amazing.
And another thing also, Aaron, like you mentioned HCA, the healthcare business that opened up. When someone thinks healthcare opening up a GCC in India, what departments would you normally think they would open up for?
Yeah, so good question. So initially, though, they would imagine they would open up to the back office functions. So things like the accountings, things like the insurance payment processing, things like the billing, things like payment accounts payable, all that type of stuff. But then really they could be looking at developing software tools, technology, all that type of stuff to improve the patient journey, maybe in the US. The sky's the limit, to be honest with you. You could be also running marketing teams out of India, like we do. We have a lot of marketing team members doing video editing, video content writing, you name it. They're all based out of India. So what's stopping anyone else doing that as well? That's the whole point. That's what I'm trying to get across here. It's not just limited to one function. It's across the board. And beyond HCA, it could even be things like they might want to develop, I don't know, hospital designs and that type of thing. That's why not? You've got architects, you've got engineers, you've got everyone in India that are capable. Perhaps they just need to understand some of the rules, but it's possible. I know car companies that are sold, cars that are sold in Europe, in France, Renault, I believe, and they're designed in India. Okay, in collaboration with some of their French colleagues, but a lot of it's designed in India, as an example. So we are at a stage where we're in a global workforce, and whilst people are trying to put barriers up, or certain people are trying to put barriers up, these barriers won't last forever, in my mind. And ultimately, the cream will always rise to the top, as they say, and people, the skilled talent will be available on a global basis, and a lot of that talent sits in India.
Okay. I mean,
And
that
just
was
to
actually a great insight. Go ahead, Deepak. Go
just
ahead.
right, just to add in continuation to what Arun said, that no business, business is untouched with AI. So we do bookkeeping, we use AI tools to process invoices. We, in fact, nowadays people been using chat GPTs to in fact frame their emails, right? Edit PPTs, we have gammas, we have various softwares, video editing, everything. We have various. So first of all, no business is untouched with AI. And as Arun and you rightly said that we have our own AI center in Coimbatore, recently opened. We are exploring that. We are exploring opportunities, right? And then comes, of course, we were talking about the skilled mindset. So India produces thousands of STEM engineers every year. So here lies the opportunity. UN Trump, as Arun already mentioned, Trump increasing the H-1B visa. We recently, over the last week, we saw that he's been increasing, and the global market says that why to hire someone and bring him to America? Why not be shift the trend to remote teams? COVID has taught us that the world has been working remotely. So this is the new trend, and I firmly believe that this will have a very huge impact on the emerging GCCs.
Well, we'll see by 2030, I guess. We'll have more and more companies coming towards that direction.
Yeah.
And in terms of how India now remains a premier GCC destination purely because of the skill force that's there, because the amount of people that want opportunities and also with I would say, the amount of resources available. Arun, you started this, let's say, a few years ago when you decided like to open up a couple of departments in India itself, in Delhi, with a couple of teams for accounting, marketing, now AI. What was the vision? Like, what made you think at that time to go in this direction?
We'd always worked with various Indian parties historically, okay, and we'd had mixed success, to be honest with you. But I think the challenges of running a firm or businesses in the UK and the industries that we were in, with the talent that was available for the price point, the first step was to go with the view to find great talent at a reasonable price, okay. But once you get into that market, you then realize, oh my goodness, it's not just this I can do that, I can do this is possible. And suddenly your eyes open up to like, oh my goodness, I didn't know I could get people who could do this. I didn't know I could get people who could do that. So suddenly you're developing and building new departments with new people, with new skills, which is very rare to find perhaps in Western countries. And the only organizations that can typically do that in Western countries are large corporates with much bigger pockets than me, who's a small to medium-sized business. So it's been, I had a question earlier today on an earlier webinar and said, well, what's the one thing that's transformed your business in the last 25 years? Honestly, India. Okay. India's transformed it, but not when I just did outsourcing. That was just a temporary step. It's when I immersed myself into India, when we set up our own GCC, and when we have team members dotted in the UK and India, working, and they're all part of one organization.
Deepak, anything to add on?
No, as rightly Arun said, that outsourcing, the business really topped up when we set up our own GCC in India. Outsourcing can, of course, be a temporary solution. You can have a temporary solution, but if you have the longer vision, if you have the longer sight, I think GCC is the only solution, because then the teams, the people working with you, they have the headquarter and the offshore team or a GCC team. They have similar vision. They have the same vision. You can align your vision, you can align your efforts, and which is often not seen with the outsourcing partners. There are, we can, we have plenty of areas wherein there are shared resources working on different clients. then there is high iteration, because you can't create the culture. The culture is embedded by the outsourcing partner.
Yeah.
For your teams, you are in full control to create policies. If one is not working, you can modify that, you can modify the policy. So it is in your hands to create that culture, and of course then you can add value to the team members working for you, which is the foremost important thing.
Yeah, and you're right. The culture is something that when you're outsourced, you have no zero control over that. Whereas now that we have control over our organization across the UK and India, the culture we're trying to set is the same, and that comes from the leadership team. And we try to hold ourselves to a high standard. But if we're working with a third party, we have zero control over that.
So the company has full control of the culture that's being set. They have full control of what's happening. They have full control of the workforce that's coming in. And they also have full, I would say, freedom to set up anywhere, whether it be a tier one or tier two city. So that's the next thing we have to go into. A lot of people, when they look at GCCs, they're being set up in Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, all these areas. But now tier two cities are also on the rise. Kochi,
Yeah,
Coimbatore, all these
yeah,
places.
yeah. So this is where I think where large organizations will go to things where they feel safe. They'll go to Bangalore, they'll go to the Hyderabad, they'll go to the big cities. But I don't think that's the smart move, to be brutally honest with you. I think the smart move is in the smaller cities, the tier two, the tier three cities. Firstly, obviously, costs are lower. There's less attrition, okay, of team members. And you find amazing talent in those places. And we're finding now infrastructure improving in all of those places as well. So I think whilst you might set up your first, what we've seen with some of the large organizations, they set up their first base in one of the big cities, such as Hyderabad or Bangalore. Then they realize, oh my goodness, it's a challenge. Then they start opening up secondary sites in smaller cities like Coimbatore, like Cochin, various places. Okay.
So, and if a company were to set up a GCC in any of these cities, what's the skill level that, let's say, regardless of the industry, what's the skill level that people should be looking at to set up GCCs in these specific cities? What skill set? Is it AI? Is it
Oh,
cybersecurity? Is it marketing? Is it HR? Which one
people,
is it?
maybe you'll know better than
Yeah.
me.
So actually, just in continuation to what we discussed earlier, so who are the people working in tier one? They are the people migrating from tier two and tier three cities, because they do not have those opportunities in their home states or home cities. So
True.
if more and more centers are open in GCCs, companies set up centers in tier two, tier three cities, so they will be competing with tier one population, because the people are same. The people are same. People come out from their home cities to study, to work, in search of opportunities, and if the opportunities reach to their home, so why will one leave that? Now, coming to these skill sets, so since working in a globalized environment and working for clients across the globe, UK, US, Norway, Denmark, anywhere. So first of all, of course, you can get a AI engineer, you can get a data scientist who is very proficient in his core field, in operation side of things. But the key sets will of course be fluent English speaking, which the Indian youth has, the correct mindset, the attitude, because the skills can be taught, but the mindset, the attitude cannot be taught. So you have to look for that, the correct mindset, the English speaking population, then the AI efficient people, using people being tech savvy, using new tools, and then the hunger, you know, the hunger to grow, the hunger to innovate, the hunger to discuss ideas, to reach at the top. And this is what makes tier 2 and tier 3 cities more attractive. The infra is improving, no doubt. The government is really pushing up, giving different incentives to these tier 2, tier 3 cities for companies setting up GCs there. But then the correct mindset, the tech savvy population, as India is one of the youngest countries in the world. So tech savvy, uh, fluent English speaking. Then you have AI driven people, people who have hunger to grow and to succeed. I think these are some of the key skill sets we need to see.
Totally agree.
So based on what you guys have said throughout the entire session so far, when someone looks at this and they're like, okay, I'm curious to know how I can set something up like this in India. I'm curious to know what the process is going to take, and based on the transparency of what you guys have been and what the vision could be for my company or for me looking to set up something. What is the process like, and how will we go about this, and what's the duration of actually setting something up like this in India?
Okay, so I'll give you very short answers. Deepak is more the man of the expert here, but when I set up my own GCC back in a few years back, it took much longer. Okay, because I didn't know what I was doing, but we learned through that process. But because there are legal issues, there's ownership issues if you're based overseas, there's director issues, all these things that come, which were kind of all new to me. Okay, but once you overcome all of those things and have a team who can actually support you to address these issues, it's a relatively simple process. It's just having the right people in the right place. When I did it the first time, I didn't have the right people. I was just learning how to do it. But now we've built a team, and we can happily execute on this for other people looking to do this in India. Deepak, maybe you can shed a little bit more light on this.
Yeah. So as Arun rightly said that when the our own GCC was set up, there were hiccups. So back then, if we talk about 22, 23, the infra, the policies were not in so much, they were not simple, they were not so transparent. Now you have dedicated portals for opening GCCs. Many states have come up over them. As we have learned from the process, as we have wet our own hands opening our own GCC, so now we are experienced. Taking the time frame, as you were very precise on the time frame, so the process is pretty simple. We start with the feasibility, the call. First we have the consultation call, we understand the requirements, then we go for the feasibility study, whether operating or scaling, operating your own GCC would be cost effective, beneficial in the long term for the organization or not. Then comes the part wherein we give a blueprint of the process, what services you want to onboard, what is your vision to open your GCC, what are the requirements, what core of skill sets you'll need, the people. Typically, the whole transition takes around 90 days or 3 months, and we divide it into three parts. First is 0 to 30, wherein we do the feasibility study, the groundwork, do these, maybe the site selection, the infra, the people, the leadership hiring. Then we move on to the second trench, wherein we shape what is on the papers. We give your entity a name. We give your entity a legal incorporation. The most used legal entity in India is private limited company. So we form 100% owned subsidiary of your foreign company in India. And then comes appointing your directors, supporting you to obtain different registrations, etc. The last trench, since we'll be talking in detail in coming webinars about each step in depth, so this is just a quick summary. The last stretch, which is around 60 to 90 days, we aim to go live. We aim to hire processors. We aim to go live. We also provide support in terms of policy drafting, in terms of cultural alignments. The HQ team in UK or US can have different mindsets. So we try to align. We host activities. We do corporate activities. We help and train the team here to align with the headquarter team. And then from 60 to 90 is also a period wherein we can assess the initial, we call it the initial assessment period, wherein you can assess the effects, and you see the results, you get to see the results. So
Yeah.
I think 90 is the
Yeah,
whole
90 days is our target date to get something set up. Obviously, there may be variables at play here, but it's a realistic target. But it'll depend on various issues, legal issues, or various parties that maybe in the UK that need to make decisions. And sometimes these things slow it down. But I think a 90-day window is a reasonable amount of time to get it off the ground.
So in 90 days, guys, you could probably have a department set up in India, or could be an entirely new company. That is also possible. So with that being said, thank you for both of you for your clarity and your time for explaining to the public about what a GCC is and what the next wave is going to be. For more information, guys, for anybody who watches this later on or who is watching this right now, if you can head to samaraglobal.com/global capability centers for accountants. We have set up a guide that shows you the 90-day process of which it takes to build up a GCC. Basically, what Deepak and Arun have just said, and it's free to download. Nothing further will be asked, but have a look at it. And to our future clients, we're right here. We're not going anywhere, and we're willing to help you scale if you just give us the time. 90 days is all we ask for. Thank you.
Thank you, Praju.
Thank you, Praju.
And that's a wrap for another episode of the Going Global Business Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it today, and please do share us on social media and make sure you do subscribe. Thank you very much.